This year, Vladi has served us as a visiting professor in world missions and intercultural studies, and been our resident missionary in our world evangelization department. It's been a wonderful year. Vladimir Pikman was born to a Jewish family in Kiev, Ukraine, and through different circumstances in his life, both in the Ukraine and in Israel, and through personal study of the Old Testament, he came to faith in Jesus as Messiah at the age of 22. He committed his life to bringing the gospel to his Jewish people, and since 1992 has been serving in different countries in Europe and worldwide, and he's led Jewish outreaches and started several Messianic congregations. He has an extensive ministry, as Daryl just mentioned, both there and here. He and his wife, Ina, have 2 daughters, and it's been a privilege to have him here this year. You've seen him in different capacities. Would you join me in welcoming Vladimir Pikman?
Well, you have heard some Hebrew already. I can say shalom. And because we're in Texas, I can say shalom y'all. By the way, the most funny Hebrew word in Texas is, smicha, or donation. Because usually the Texan Jews, they should say it, smicha! Or something like that. Okay. We have a great God. Amen. Ministering to the Jewish people, there is the question that is usually the toughest to answer. A theological question. You know which one is that? You Christians, you believe in 3 gods. And we Jewish people, we believe just in one God. This question is very difficult to answer. Because in Christianity, we have the same challenges. It's difficult to explain the mysterious unity of our God. It's very difficult to explain how our God exists. The Torah says to us that we are not supposed to make any images. So, in fact, we cannot compare God with any image in this world. Not with triangle, not with similar images. Sometimes when I see at Christian images of Trinity, it's such a nice paganism or heresy. But there is always attempt to present God in his mysterious nature, in his mysterious being, but our God is so big that it's very difficult for us to find the human words to explain the very essence of his existence. There is nothing we compare God with. Almost nothing. God created man in his image. Man and woman. He created him. He said, "You will be one flesh." Not one spirit, not one soul. You're one flesh with your spouse. One flesh. I don't see that. I cannot sing so well as my wife does. A few months ago, we did here the Torah, the dedication of the Torah scroll, and then I looked online, the recording, and wait, there is a problem. I tried to stay far from the microphone, but you can still hear me chanting some prayers with Ina. That's a trouble. It spoils the entire dedication. You don't want me to sing for you to listen. However, man and woman, husband and wife are one flesh. Echad. Flesh echad. The same like Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. This mystery of the divine Echad can be seen in this world actually in a healthy and good and godly marriage. But that's not all yet. Am Israel goy Echad. The nation of Israel one people. The same principle of Ehad. The Jewish people, they should be interconnected with each other. That's the nature of the creation of the Jewish people. You know, usually the pagans, they were converting to some new religion if they saw that this religion is successful. There is success, there is a victory. They are strong nation. In the Second Temple period, we know about huge number of those who like Jewish people and their religion. They were just very jealous about what Jewish people has. And they were tending to have the monotheism. It means the belief in one God, not in polytheism with many gods, but belief in just one God. As they could comprehend this God at that time. The God that is Ehad. Why? The history tells us that they were observing the Jewish people and they saw that the marriage standards of the Jewish people are really better than the marriage standards of other peoples around them. Again, this Ehad principle, the monotheism is seen when the people of Israel and the marriage is one. They saw the people of Israel, the pagans looked at them, and the people are one. It's one people. The pagans, every nation is just divided. They're spread out. And these Jewish people, they live all over the place. They don't have even their country. But they are one. Do you remember the Purim story from the book of Esther? The Haman, he came to the king and he said, there are people among us. They're scattered. But they are one. And they have the same rule, they have rules that they unite them. They have the same laws. So there was unity that the pagans could see. And it was a testimony, a great testimony of the unity of God. This divine mystery of Ehad. The Jewish people used to live, or supposed to live this way. And that's actually what also Jesus refers probably, in part at least, in John chapter 17 as he prays. And in his prayer, in John 17, so if you have your Bibles, turn to or turn on to John chapter 17. And I'm going to read from verse 20 through 23. Jesus prays, I pray not only for this, but also for those who believe in me through their message. May they all be one, as you, Father, are in me, and I am in you. May there also be one in us, so the world may believe you sent me. I have given them the glory you have given me. May they be one as we are one. I am in them, and you are in me. May they be made completely one, so the world may know you have sent me and have loved them as you have loved me. I will stop here. Ehad, one. Jesus is praying to the Father for the believers to be one. And not just for us to enjoy our unity, what was already a good thing by itself, but first of all, for the world to see that Jesus is the Messiah. For the world to see that Jesus is sent by Father. You know, our unity is a very significant and important way of doing evangelism. Without even our words, our unity works as it used to work with Israel in good times in the history of Israel. Our unity shows that Jesus is the one who is sent But even more than that, our unity is to show the mystery of very God existence. He's Echad. There is no image of triangle or pretzel or whatever what can show us this God in His great triunity. But there is the church, the body of the Messiah, the body of the believers who can represent His Echad here in this world. We cannot explain the way we are one, but it is. It is the testimony, and it's something what can visualize and make it visible for other people to see the mystery of God. And you know, it's very important part of our life and our testimony, the unity. We are one. And this oneness, it's not just, okay, we are together, we belong together. It's more than that. Being one, it means care for each other. You know, there is another passage in the Bible regarding the unity. And it's in 1 Corinthians chapter 12. There are many passages, but let me turn to this one for a moment. 1 Corinthians chapter 12. Paul is talking about the body of the Messiah. And he says, we are one. The believers in Jesus, the Holy Spirit placed us in one body. It's a mystery of the divine Echad, oneness in one body. And we are different in this body, but we are very united and we are dependent of each other. We are to care for each other. That's our destiny. It's not just our calling. It's the way we are created in the Messiah. So let's look at the verses 25 through 27. Paul describes that we have in this body different members, so that this would be no division in the body, but that the members would have the same concern for each other. So if one member suffers, all the members suffer with it. If one member is honored, all the members rejoice with it. Now, you are the body of the Messiah and individual members of it. We are one body. And it's not just that Paul tells us, just come and be one body. Just care for each other. We are already placed there. You know the passages, it said, just weep with those who are weeping, rejoice with those who are rejoicing. Here, it's not an imperative. It's not a commandment. It's not something for us to do. It's just written. So if one member suffers, all the members suffer with it. If one member is honored, all the members rejoice with it. It's the statement of fact. If one of us is sick, I will feel it. I will try to close probably like some walls around me, just not to consider it as my problem if I'm just have my own issues, but still it will get me. Look, if you cut one finger, even if it's not too bad, your leg is not happy about it. If you have a headache, whole your body suffers. If one member of the body of the Messiah suffers, we all automatically reap the consequences of this suffer. And it leads me to a certain conclusion. We are to care for each other. And it's something what Paul means here. He is not giving here just the theology of the church or like description of different gifts that we have. You know, there are tons of books and theologies based upon this passage regarding the gifts of the Spirit and different like callings and workings of the Holy Spirit. Yes, you can see it there, but that's not the main point of Paul. His main point is care for each other because you are one body. In many cases, if somebody decides to follow Jesus, he thinks it's about me and Jesus. And I don't need anybody else. I'm coming to Jesus. I'm with Jesus. You know, I would compare it with a marriage. You thought you married just your spouse. Surprise! You got the entire extended family with it. You came to Jesus? Welcome. Welcome to our glorious community, however glorious it is. So you thought that you are coming to Jesus? You did. You came. And you got something in addition to Jesus. You got me. And you. And these people. That's what the Bible means in this regard. Now, let me get even more practical. Here, I will give you some examples from my experience here at DTS. The first cultural, not shock, but just cultural adjustment that I had to make while here at DTS was for me in the morning, like the second or the third morning here at DTS. We're staying in Swiss Towers, and it's early morning. I'm going to class. I'm tired. I want to sleep. I'm not like cheerful. I'm coming to the elevator. We live on the 8th floor there, and I'm just starting some exercise. Because I know that elevators will come, the doors will open, there will be somebody in the elevator, and I have to smile and to say, hi, good morning, how are you doing? And I will get the same response back. You know, the time changes. Today I'm coming to the elevator. I don't need to do this exercise in many cases any longer, so I feel like in Europe nobody responds to my hi sometimes. But however, it's not the point what I'm trying to make at this time. The shock for me was not that it's like polite or not. The shock was, why are you asking me? How am I doing? How are you doing if you are not interested in this? You don't care. You just greet me this way. Okay, I understood. It's a greeting. So I was greeting everybody the same way. I was smiling. I was greeting. You know, just enculturation. I got to do it. I'm in world missions, at least now. I got to preach it. But I was doing that more or less like automatically after a couple of years. As I came to Dallas this time, like a few months ago, I met a former student of DTS at some worship service. He came to me and he told me, do you remember me? We were students at the same time. And he is such type of personality, just an appearance. He's the man, if you see him once, you will never forget him. Very very looking for you to remember. Nice looking, actually. I don't mean it as something negative. But I looked at him and I said, yes. And I thought, what a hypocrite. Such a liar. You don't remember him, but you try to be polite. So I told him just sort of. And he told me, on that, there was a particular month. I felt very bad. My wife got extremely sick. I lost my job. I had no money. I had difficulties in school. I was ready to drop the school. I was ready to quit the seminary. I was absolutely devastated. And then I saw you on campus. And you were shining and smiling and so joyful. And you know what? I was looking at you and you gave me hope. And I stayed at the seminary and I finished it. And God provided everything. And I asked him, and when was it? And he told me the time. And I was shocked. Because this was the time I remember really well. I was devastated myself. I was absolutely miserable. I had some financial issues. I had many troubles in the school at that time. I was ready to quit. I don't know how he could see me smiling and joyful. I was angry. Maybe it was this traditional smile that I put on my face. I don't know. God works in mysterious ways. So I never told him that. But you know what happened about the same time? I was absolutely devastated. I came home to our apartment in Swiss Towers, and I was really seriously playing with an idea of writing a letter and just quit the seminary. And as I closed the door, coming to the apartment, my telephone rang. And there was a professor of Dallas Theological Seminary calling me, asking me, what is wrong with you? Is something bothering you? I never told anybody anything about it. He just saw it. He just noticed it. At the same time as somebody got hope looking at my smile and cheer, somebody noticed that I'm absolutely devastated. We talked for an hour. I stayed. I graduated. We need each other. The point that I'm trying to make is open your eyes. Open your hearts. There are people around you. It's not just books, classes, library, computers, phones, and other digital devices around you or in your hand. There are people around you. Your smile can do much. Your smile can give hope. Your smile can save life. The Jewish tradition says, in Talmud it's written, if somebody saved one soul, it's like he saved the entire universe, the whole world. By making a difference with maybe your care for others in just life of one person, he can change the entire world for better. Please keep it in mind. No, our God is the God of compassion. It's one of the very important Jesus characteristics as well. He came and he constantly showed compassion. He was not constantly busy with his academic assignments, with his ministry, with his business. He was looking at people and he saw their suffering. He came to help people in suffering. Please, let's open our hearts and our minds and look around and see there are people. Smile, greet, but try to do it honestly and like you mean it. And even if you don't, just smile. Not as a matter of being polite or nice, but as a matter of ministering to others by doing that. Asking the questions, please ask this question, how are you doing? But be ready to listen. Open your hearts for other people. Open your minds. Let me read one story. It's a story that is said about Martin Buber, a very important and famous Jewish theologian of the beginning of the 20th century. He was a good scholar. He was a good theologian. There is some situation that actually determined the direction of his life, as he himself said. While still a young man, Buber was at home editing a scholarly manuscript when the doorbell rang. The visitor, whom he admitted, seemed a bit anxious to speak. But as Buber was anxious to get back to his work, he hurried him along. He answered the man's questions politely, but as Buber later expressed it, I did not answer the questions which were not asked. He found out that just a few days after their brief encounter, the young man died, an apparent suicide. From then on, Buber concluded that encounters with people must take precedence over scholarship and mystical speculations. I think that this principle is very biblical. People are more important. People are more important for God than anything else. People are more important with Jesus as anything else. I think we can learn from that something. Open your eyes. Turn your eyes away from books for a moment, from your computers, from your scholarly work, from your job. Come out of the library. Come, step out of your desk. Look around. Open your heart. There are people. We need each other. The people around you, they need you. They need us. Think of each other. Talk to each other. Invite each other. Invite even the international students, because I remember we as international students, we feel lonely. Care for each other. Be nice to each other. But seriously, real. The principle of oneness. There is God, one God. Jesus and the Father are one. And the way for the world to see it is to look at us. Among others, to look at the way we treat each other. To look at the way we embrace each other. May the whole world know that the God is one in his mysterious triunity. Let the whole world see that Jesus is sent by Father as the Messiah. May this whole world see it by looking at us.